Yes team, welcome back to another video, and as you have guessed by the title of the video, we are doing a full day of eating. This is probably the most requested thing I get as a coach and just in my kind of fitness journey is, Ben, what kind of things do you eat? I'm stuck on what to eat, etc, etc. As you know, I am currently in my fat loss phase for Hawaii, so I'm going to take you through every single thing that I eat, but also I'm going to give you tips and advice and things that you can implement into your diet in terms of strategies to maximise progression and make it easier for you. So sit back, relax and enjoy. So before we dive into meal number one, the first thing that I recommend you do as soon as you wake up is hydrate, alright? So make sure you're getting plenty of water in and also electrolytes if you can. That's going to help you hydrate a hell of a lot faster and actually hydrate properly. Now, meal number one for me is a very, very small meal. I don't want to have loads of my food first thing in the morning because, to be honest, I do not need a lot of energy first thing in the morning. So I literally just have 100 grams of raspberries and 100 grams of blueberries in a little pot or a bowl. It just allows me to eat something, be a little bit satiated, and it gets me a hell of a lot of micronutrients from obviously the fruits. Now, as for my protein 7 as well, protein is going to help keep you satiated, so again, help curb that hunger. I have 60 grams, I think it's 60 or 70 grams of whey, so it's 2 scoops of the Perform lemon cheesecake one. Again, getting a protein 7 in, allowing me to curb hunger, give me a little bit of energy to then see me through to my next again meal. Now this actually takes me to my first tip of the video. It's the first thing you should do is not eat when you wake up. It's a huge mistake I see is when people are on lower food because they're dieting and they then have a lot of that food first thing in the morning. Then they're having to spread however much calories they've got through an entire day, leaving them starving, not performing their best. So what I try and do is I always try and push my first meal back to later on in the day. This is going to give you a much shorter eating window to consume your calories, therefore making you feel like you're consuming a lot more food and again keeping you more satiated. So tip number one, push your first meal back to later on in the day. Man, fucking beautiful. Coffee tastes better when you're dieting as well. I used to be an absolute sucker for an instant coffee, alright? I'd be like, mate, it's a £5 a jar, there's not a fucking chance I'm buying a coffee machine and spending X amount of money on coffee pods. I got gifted an espresso machine by Alex's mum and dad last Christmas, and in the whole 30 years of me living, it's the best gift I've ever received. It will genuinely change your life. Now, for those coffee connoisseurs who still look down on people like myself who've invested in a coffee machine and say you need to get one that grinds the beans and steams your coffee X, Y and Z. Bro, I ain't paying £600 for a fucking coffee machine. The first tip was push your first meal back. Now a lot of you will be thinking, but Ben, I get fucking hungry and I'm really starving in the morning, I just want to eat food, etc, etc. Having caffeine will suppress that appetite. Alright, so the first thing I say to you to do when you wake up is hydrate. Always hydrate before you caffeinate, it's a very, very important thing. But when hunger does occur, using tools like caffeine will help kind of curb that hunger a little bit, then allowing you to kind of push that first meal later on. So, second tip of the day, have some caffeine. So now it's time for our pre-workout meal. We are having sourdough with tuna, kimchi, avocado, wee bit of salt, and also 3 rashers of turkey bacon simply to increase the protein. Also, life hack. This is going to save you so much fucking time and effort. If you've ever tried to eat an avocado, you spend half an hour wrestling with the fucking thing, try to get the stone out and scooping it all out, making an absolute fucking mess. It pisses me off. So these little things here are literally just like small packets of avocado, scoop it out, fuck it on your toast, bish bash bosh, done. So today is a training day for me. We have push later on and this is essentially my pre-workout meal, which in my opinion is going to be the most important meal of the day, if not top 2 most important meals of the day. Whatever you have before you go train will ultimately fuel your gym session. Bit of context on that. A few points. Don't have something that's too small that doesn't give you enough energy. Don't have a meal that's too big that makes you feel too full, bloated, sick, etc, etc. You also want to make sure that you have something that digests well with you. Alright, very, very important. You want that food to be digested, the energy then utilised so you can then focus on your session, the blood can then go to the muscle group you try to work, not your stomach to digest it. So I'm going to dust this off and I'll catch you for my kind of pre-workout, intra-workout stack. So just before I go into my kind of pre-workout nutrition stack is another common mistake that I see people make is they think, but Ben, I'm hitting my calories and macros, that's all that matters. Cool, yes, if you're in a caloric deficit, you're hitting your carbs, fats, protein and total calories, that is going to elicit fat loss, fantastic. But if you are choosing to have lower volume foods, that's going to be very, very, very negative in terms of fat loss and making you feel very, very hungry, alright? Because what you want to be doing in this situation is you want to be bulking those meals out. So having foods that are a lot higher volume but lower calories. A quick example in terms of a carbohydrate option would be rice v potatoes. Rice, you're going to get like a handful of rice, say it's like 100 grams of rice for say 500 calories, just talking sake. If you had the same amount of calories in potatoes, that would be like 5 handfuls of potatoes. So therefore you're eating way more fucking food, you're going to be way more fuller, but essentially still getting the same calories. So make sure that the carbohydrates and just food in general, options that you're having are higher volume, lower calories, and I promise you you're going to be way more satiated and less chance of you falling off plan.
Pre-workout is non-stim pre.
The question I get asked is like, oh, what pre-workout do you recommend? In the almost a decade of training, out of every single pre-workout I've ever had, MV Pre, the 3.0 one, will be the best. It gives you a bit of a dun, you feel a little bit of the spiders crawling over your face, and if you double dunt it goes up your fucking back, which I actually love the tingles of a pre-workout. But more so than just feeling a bit of a dun, cognitively it makes you feel so switched on, it makes you feel like you're in a bubble. However, I'm actually not consuming a lot of caffeine right now, and I've actually not had a lot of caffeine in my session, so what I then do is have just a non-stim pump formula. So this is going to be fantastic for anybody who trains later on in the day, or you have consumed too much caffeine earlier on in the day like myself at work. I don't then want to have even more caffeine. So this is the Alpha Line Superhuman Pump. The Hulk Juice one is absolutely fantastic. In terms of my actual intra workout, because my food's quite low right now, I'm not having any carbohydrates, alright? Quick tip for any of you who are in a gaining phase or your food's still relatively high in the dieting phases. If you are wanting to improve energy, replenish glycogen throughout your session, you can have highly branched cyclodextrin carbohydrates, which is basically just a powder form carbohydrate that's going to digest very, very quickly throughout your session and just going to top up those fuel levels and keep those maintained throughout your session. However, in a dieting phase, it doesn't make you feel full at all. So that's essentially 25 grams of carbohydrates that I could then have elsewhere in whole foods and making me feel fuller. So right now for me, we have just the non-stim pre-workout, and then we have 25 grams of essential amino acids in our session. I'm not actually going to record today's leg session, I'm just going to keep this solely on a full day of eating, so I'll catch you after the session for the post-workout meal. Lower body session complete. So now we are here for the pre-workout meal / dinner. I've been home for about 2 hours now, and I had a cup of tea, a decaf on when I came home, just to kind of push me through to my next game meal, because if I had to eat at like 3 o'clock and then only got one meal left, I'd be fucking starving. So my pre-workout, or post-workout meal, prioritise carbohydrates, alright? Protein and carbohydrates. The carbohydrates are going to help replenish glycogen, which is the fuel stores in your muscle that you've then depleted when training. So here we have 405 grams of potatoes, boiled. Now boiled potatoes are going to be the absolute goat of carbohydrate sources when you're dieting. It's very, very filling, like what I spoke about in the clip before going to the gym. We then have 200 grams of chicken, so again, nice protein serving, nice and satiating as well. We have 100 grams of peas, half a pepper, half an onion, and like 3 garlic cloves as well. However, one thing that you might be a little bit shocked about is the sauce that I use. I actually use curry sauce as well, and people go, how the fuck are you using sauce, Ben? You can't use sauce, you have to have bland foods. If you have bland chicken and tatties just because you're scared of sauce, you're a very, very boring dieter, alright? You should not be doing that. This sauce that I have has like 50 grams or like whatever, 50 gram serving, which I have just now, 3 grams of fat, 3 grams of carbs, and it genuinely changes your meal. So here is a look at my post-workout meal.
Look at the size of this bowl. 475 grams potatoes, 200 grams chicken, plenty of veg, beautiful.
So final meal of the day, we have 50 grams of porridge oats with the beautiful advanced whey protein, the lemon cheesecake flavour, genuinely very, very nice. However, one thing that's going to change your absolute life, now be careful, alright, if you're a chocolate lover, please be careful, because this stuff is fucking lethal. The Lindt pistachio dark chocolate, genuinely incredible, the best thing I've ever tasted in my entire life. So this meal is close first to the most important meal of the day. I said earlier that the most important meal of the day would be your pre-workout meal, for the reason being that's going to fuel your gym session, okay? However, I think this is so close because I never want to go to bed hungry, and you definitely do not want to be waking up during the night hungry as well. Alright, so make sure, if you can, save some calories to have a decent meal at the end of the day. Alright, for me, porridge oats is a very, very slow digesting carbohydrate with some protein, with some dark chocolate for fat. It's going to slow that carbohydrate digestion down even slower as well. It's going to be even better for keeping you satiated, keeping you fuller for longer. Right, so try your best, if you can, when dieting especially, to keep a meal for later on. So I'm going to polish this off and meet you back in the kitchen, because I'm going to go through my daily supplement stack, just so you've got some context behind what I have for supplementation on top of a full day of eating. So just wrapping up this full day of eating with my current supplement stack. So basically it's been really, really quick here. 10 grams of creatine. Now the daily dose that you probably heard before is 5 grams. Now studies have actually came out that 10 grams actually helps with performance, but also some brain function. And if you're anything like myself, I could definitely be doing with some more brain function. So 10 grams per day is absolutely fine. I then have a good quality omega-3. I then have a good quality multivitamin, and on top of that I have vitamin D. I'm going to wrap the video up at that. I hope you've enjoyed episode 2 of this kind of prep series, a full day of eating. I'll probably do another one in a few weeks time, because to be honest I can start to feel my hunger starting to creep up, so there's going to be a lot of food changes in my diet. Anyway, if you've enjoyed this video, drop me a like. If you've not already, subscribe to the channel, and I will catch you next week on episode 3.